By the year 2300, Earth was no longer a blue marble. It was a suffocating, overheated cage. Following this decline, we witnessed the double catastrophe involving 15 billion souls and the Great Deluge 2.0. The global population had hit a breaking point of 15 billion. Megalopolises were stacked layer upon layer, and natural resources were so depleted that a liter of fresh water was worth more than an ounce of 21st century gold. But that wasn't the worst of it. Due to the total collapse of the Antarctic and Greenland ice sheets, sea levels had risen by 12 meters. Iconic cities, New York, London, Tokyo, and San Francisco were now nothing more than artificial coral reefs beneath the waves. Humanity had retreated deep inland, huddled in cloud scrapers hundreds of stories high, where privacy was a forgotten luxury. Shortly thereafter, the Helios Zenith conglomerate emerged, leading to the birth of Eternal Glass. In this darkest hour, the Helios Zenith conglomerate, a global titan born from the merger of energy cartels and quantum material labs, announced the Aegis-Spectra project. Led by the visionary chief scientist, Dr. Valerius Thorne, the project discovered a way to bind nanosilica particles with a liquid electromagnetic buffer. He dubbed this masterpiece Aegis-Spectra Grade S. Regarding the technical specifications of Aegis-Spectra, it features a vampire power function, where the surface reflects nothing and swallows every photon. The higher the radiation intensity, the more megawatts it generates. Furthermore, it utilizes a memory glass structure manufactured by the subsidiary Aetherfab. This glass possesses molecular memory. Upon impact from a micrometeoroid, the atoms vibrate at a high frequency to reconnect, erasing cracks within 3 seconds. Additionally, it contains a bio-nova oxyflow membrane, a biological layer containing gene-edited algae that converts CO2 into O2 at a rate 100 times faster than a natural forest. Operation Neogenesis, the Lunar Exodus. In March 2300, the Global Migration Council officially launched Operation Neogenesis. The goal: move the first seeds of humanity off the stifling Earth. Moving forward to the mobilization, we see the deployment of the Orion Aerospace Fleet. Under the subcontract of Orion Aerospace, thousands of Titan liner-class transport ships launched from the high plateaus of the Rockies and the Andes, some of the few places left above water. Each ship carried 500,000 tons of Aegis-Spectra in its compressed liquid precursor state, 10,000 hexapod construction droids from the Cybercore Corporation, and 100,000 first-wave citizens consisting of engineers, doctors, and terraforming specialists. This led directly to the building of the Aethelgard Superdome. The site chosen was the Shackleton crater at the lunar South Pole. This location provided perpetual sunlight on the crater's rim for energy and permanent shadow in the basin, where vast deposits of lunar ice could be mined for hydrogen fuel and water. During the construction process, Cybercore's hexapods drove massive vibranium steel pylons deep into the lunar regolith. A gargantuan pressurized polymer sphere was inflated to define the interior space. The liquid Aegis-Spectra was then sprayed over the sphere. Upon contact with the vacuum's cold and intense UV radiation, the glass instantly cured, activating its energy harvesting properties and turning as transparent as crystal and harder than any known alloy. Lunar challenges and the Aegis solution. By 2015, the first Superdome Aethelgard was completed, spanning a staggering 40 kilometers in diameter. However, the Moon was a hostile host. The first major obstacle involved invisible enemies, regolith dust and cosmic rays.
Lunar dust is composed of tiny, razor-sharp rock fragments that are electrostatically charged. The solution was the Aegis-Spectra static shield. This shield continuously emits pulses that repel dust particles, pushing them into a low lunar orbit and keeping the dome's surface pristine for maximum energy absorption. The next challenge concerned extreme pressure and temperature. The extreme temperature swing on the Moon is nearly 300 degrees Celsius between the lunar day and night. The solution provided by Helios Zenith was an integrated thermal siphon system. Excess heat energy during the day is channeled through the glass structure into molten salt reservoirs deep beneath the city. During the freezing 14-day lunar night, this heat is released back into the city's climate control, maintaining a constant 22 degrees Celsius. Life within the crystal from 2015 to 2050. By 2035, the population of Aethelgard reached 10 million. This was a new society born in a bottle. Within this environment, vertical agriculture flourished. Managed by the Green Horizon Corporation, agricultural towers kilometers high provided fresh food. Light was filtered and modulated by the Aegis-Spectra dome to simulate a perfect 24-hour day-night cycle, despite the Moon's month-long rotation. Simultaneously, a post-scarcity energy economy emerged. The energy collected by the dome was so abundant that electricity was essentially free. This surplus allowed for total material recycling, where waste was broken down at the atomic level and 3D printed into new goods. The year 2035, the end of Phase 1. On the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, Dr. Valerius Thorne, now 90 years old, but appearing decades younger thanks to life extension biotech, stood on the highest observation deck of Aethelgard. He looked back at Earth, a dark, bruised marble of storms. Then he turned his gaze to the Mars holographic chart projected onto the Aegis glass surface. Earth was our cradle, he declared, to 10 million lunar citizens. But these crystal veils are where we truly belong. We have mastered the Moon. Now we claim the red planet. As a final step for this era, the next fleet was prepared. Massive stockpiles of the upgraded Aegis-Eris glass, capable of withstanding 500 km/h sandstorms and filtering the thin CO2 atmosphere, were loaded into the Orion carriers. The objective, Mars. The target population, 50 million.
Chapter 6. The Crimson Frontier, 2350 to 2400. The year 2350 marked the Great Leap Outward. While Aethelgard on the Moon had become a beacon of luxury and stability, the Red Planet beckoned as the true test of the Aegis technology. Mars was not merely a vacuum, it was an active, hostile environment defined by iron oxide dust and a razor-thin atmosphere of carbon dioxide. Leading into the urbanization, we explore the Valles Marineris megalopolis. Unlike the crater-based domes of the Moon, the Martian colonization strategy utilized the planet's natural geography. The Orion Aerospace Fleet deployed the bridge dome technique over the Valles Marineris, the grandest canyon in the solar system. By anchoring the Aegis-Eris glass to the canyon walls, humanity created a pressurized habitat 2,500 miles long and 125 miles wide. This was no longer a city, it was a glass-enclosed continent. To maintain this massive structure, Helios Zenith solved the Martian dust crisis with the polished ion solution. Mars is famous for global dust storms that can last for months, blocking 99% of sunlight. To ensure energy harvesting remained functional, the Aegis-Eris glass introduced a nano-sliding surface, a molecular-level lubricant that reduced friction to near zero so dust could not find purchase.
Additionally, the glass utilized an ionization sweep, creating an ion wind through electromagnetic repulsion that physically blew dust away, even in a total calm. Chapter 7: The Bio-Nova Revolution. The most critical challenge on Mars was the atmosphere. To support 50 million citizens, the oxygen requirements were astronomical. This led to the development of the Ares vent system. The Aegis-Ares glass functioned as a giant lung. Through a process called atmospheric mining, the glass structure utilized its massive surface area to absorb carbon dioxide directly from the Martian exterior. Micropores in the outer layer pulled in the gas, while the Bio-Nova membranes, powered by stored solar energy, split the molecules into pure carbon and oxygen. The oxygen was then pumped into the canyon cities, while the carbon was redirected to 3D printing factories to build the skeletons of new skyscrapers. Chapter 8: The Rise of the Cybergen, 2400 to 2450. By the year 2400, the population of the Mars-Lunar Union hit 60 million. A new generation had risen, the Cybergen. These were humans who had never breathed unfiltered air or felt the full pull of Earth's gravity. In this new era of biology, life at 0.38 gravity enabled vertical ascension. In the Valles Marineris, architecture defied the laws of earthbound physics. Residents lived in spire woods, towers reaching nearly 2 miles high, held together by carbon fiber cables. For transportation, people used personal flight suits. With lower gravity and high-pressure oxygenated air, human flight became the primary mode of movement. As the population grew, the 2450 energy crisis triggered the Soul Mirror upgrade. As the census approached 80 million, Helios Zenith launched the Lensing Project. The Aegis domes were reprogrammed to act as massive Fresnel lenses, converging weak Martian sunlight into concentrated beams. These were directed at underground thermal batteries, tripling the energy output and supporting massive industrial zones. Chapter 9: Toward the Outer Reaches, 2450 to 2500. By the dawn of the 25th century, the inner system, consisting of Earth, the Moon, and Mars, was reaching saturation. Humanity looked toward the gas giants, but the challenges of Jupiter and Saturn required protection that even Aegis-Ares could not provide. Addressing the Jovian radiation wall, scientists realized that Jupiter's magnetic field is a death trap, flinging high-energy particles that can fry electronics and organic cells in seconds. To colonize the moon Europa, the glass had to evolve again. This evolution resulted in Aegis titanium grade Omega. Developed in the secret labs of Atherfab, this glass was infused with a layer of superconducting liquid metal. It generated an active magnetosphere, an independent magnetic field that diverted radiation around the city, creating a permanent aurora borealis visible from every window. Furthermore, it featured a heat trap system. On Europa, where temperatures dropped to -256 degrees Fahrenheit, the glass acted as a perfect insulator, recycling warmth from human bodies and machinery to maintain a tropical paradise inside. Chapter 10: The 100 Million Milestone, Year 2500. On January 1, 2500, the census AI of the Interplanetary Federation flickered to a new number: 100 million. Humanity was now spread across the solar system, with 20 million on the Moon, 60 million on Mars, and another 20 million across the asteroid belt and Europa outposts. In conclusion, the cradle of Earth was now a distant memory, a protected historical museum. The real heart of the human race now beat within the shimmering, energy-pulsing veins of the Aegis domes.
Chapter 11: The Era of the Biological Anchor, 2500 to 2650. By the mid-26th century, the definition of home had shifted from a geographical location to a technological state. With 100 million people living safely behind Aegis shields, the focus turned inward, to the human vessel itself. This era was defined by the longevity breakthrough known as Project Methuselah. Living in an environment controlled by Helios zenith meant the total elimination of environmental stressors. There was no UV damage, no carcinogenic pollutants, and no viral outbreaks. Leveraging this sterile perfection, BioNova released the Aegis Link Serum. This treatment created a glass cell symbiosis using nanites to synchronize human cellular repair with the dome's AI. If the dome detected a citizen's vitals dropping, the Aegis Omega glass would emit specific light frequencies to trigger rapid tissue regeneration. As a result, lifespans stretched from 120 to 350 years by the year 2600. Building on this biological foundation, the arrival of Aegis Omni, or the living glass, changed everything in 2620. EtherFab introduced programmable matter, infusing glass with a synthetic neural network. This was no longer a static shield. The glass could change its density, opacity, and even its molecular shape in real time. If a city needed more space, the glass simply grew, expanding the dome like a biological cell dividing. Chapter 12. The Billion Soul Migration, 2650 to 2800. The population explosion was no longer a threat, it was a resource. With lifespans reaching 500 years by the turn of the 28th century, the human race began to accumulate knowledge and numbers at an exponential rate. A primary example of this expansion was the ring domes of Saturn. Instead of building on moons, Orion Aerospace constructed the Aurelius Ring, a continuous tube of Aegis Omni glass within the planet's rings. This megastructure housed 400 million people. By rotating the ring, engineers created perfect centrifugal gravity, allowing Earth-native species like oak trees and whales to thrive in giant orbit oceans within the glass. Supporting this massive population was a shift toward total robotization. By 2750, the concept of manual labor had vanished. Cybercore perfected the Aegis Swarm, trillions of microscopic robots living within the glass walls. They handled all maintenance, food synthesis, and waste conversion. Humanity became a race of creators and philosophers living in a post-scarcity utopia where the only currency was neural contribution, the sharing of new ideas and art. Chapter 13. The 5,000-Year Vision, 2800 to 3000. As the year 3000 approached, the solar system had become a glistening orchard. Every planet, from Mercury, protected by high-heat Aegis Sol glass, to Pluto, warmed by Aegis thermal shields, was fully populated. A major milestone was reached in 1912 when the census AI recorded the 1 billionth citizen. The human race had officially conquered the cradle phase of its development. This growth was supported by environmental perfection. The Aegis Omni glass had reached its peak, capable of quantum communication, where the glass itself acted as a transmitter for instant data transfer via entangled particles. Additionally, on volatile moons like Io, the domes were anchored with gravity spikes that stabilized the ground, preventing volcanic eruptions from ever disturbing the cities. Chapter 14. The Great Leap to the Far Future. Fast forward to the year 5000. Humanity has moved beyond the need for planets. We now live in the Spectra shell, a fragmented sphere of Aegis Omni glass orbiting the Sun. Looking at the current state of civilization, the population has reached 10 billion. The shell captures 100% of the Sun's output, providing energy so vast that matter can be manufactured from pure light. Death has become a choice rather than a necessity, with an average lifespan of 800 years and the ability to back up consciousness into the Aegis neural lattice. As a final step in our journey, the year 5000 sees the launch of the first interstellar Aegis spore. This 30-mile sphere of living glass contains the DNA of Earth and the collective knowledge of 5 millennia.
It does not need a planet to land on. It is the planet. It will travel to Alpha Centauri, deploy its glass wings, and start a new sun-harvesting civilization among the stars.
The final verdict, a future written in glass. As we look back at this 5,000-year journey, one thing is clear. Humanity's survival didn't depend on finding a new Earth, but on reinventing what it means to live. From the first drop of Aegis-Spectra on the Moon to the massive Dyson shells of the year 5000, we have transformed from a fragile species into masters of light and glass. But this vision of the future raises a massive question for all of you. If you were offered a chance to live for 800 years inside a perfect glass utopia, but you could never set foot on a natural planet again, would you take it? Or is there something about the blue marble of Earth that no amount of technology can ever replace? I want to hear your theories. Could a material like Aegis Omni actually be developed in our lifetime? And which planet would you want to colonize first? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read as many as I can, and the best ideas might just inspire our next deep dive. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the future of humanity and the mysteries of the cosmos. The cradle of Earth was just the beginning. We are the generation that dreams of the stars, and together we are building the roadmap to get there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.